Welcome back to the garage. It's Saturday morning, and none of my kids have anything going on, so I should be able to spend a good deal of the day out here. I'm looking forward to seeing how far I get. I'm going to start with the brakes and pulling out the ABS pump, trying to redo some lines. We'll see how far I get. I'm not sure if I'll have all the lines to actually redo everything, but we'll at least start disconnecting and then coming up with a shopping list for that. And then after that, I'll probably start working on some wiring, which will start mostly with yanking most of the wiring out. Almost everything in the car is going to get redone. So labeling some stuff and pulling wires out. And maybe we'll start putting some stuff back together that I know I'm going to need. Obviously, taillights and horn and that kind of stuff. So we'll see how far we get today. Got the ABS pump pulled out, and while that's kind of dripping a little bit, I don't want to be underneath the car and working on brake lines and get brake fluid in my eye. That doesn't sound like any fun, so I'm gonna let those drain down a little bit. And you watched me work on the wiring a little bit up front. I went ahead and pulled this passenger side seat out. Right now I've got a number of things. It's not that bright in here. Let's see. So I've got a bunch of wires kind of coming along this side. That is fuel pump and the blinkers and brake lights and fuel lever sensor, the fuel level sender, and some audio wires. So because of the power coming through here and the audio wires, I get a little bit of a hum from the sound bar that's back here. So I think I'm going to do a couple things. The power itself actually runs over and down that side. So I think my plan is to run all the power down the passenger side here, and move all of the electrical from the driver's side over, mount fuse boxes and relays up inside the passenger footwell, and then probably run all of the stereo stuff along the bottom on the inside of the tunnel to keep it away from the power, and that should hopefully get rid of my buzz. And obviously a ton of that needs to come out, so I'm gonna start working on the inside here and tearing some of this out. The couple control bottle, the ECM and the body control module is back in there from the Corvette that was still being used. All that'll get ripped out because it won't be necessary anymore. So gauge cluster is going away as well. What I am keeping is that steering column. I like my blinkers and my horn there. It's convenient, and I don't really want to put blinkers on this switch panel or anything, so I'm going to leave the steering column. So I need to sort out the wires for the steering column and leave the things that still need to be in there. The high beam switch is on that blinker switch. I may leave that, or I may move high beams down to this switch panel. I do have a couple of open switches on that, but I'll probably leave it on the steering column just because it's nice and convenient. But everything else for the gauge cluster, all of it should be coming out. This little Rockville subwoofer. It wasn't very expensive, and it sits nice and flat and does the job. However, because of this mesh grill, I think I've gotten a couple of rocks in it, because at a certain sound level it starts vibrating. It sounds like rocks. So I'm going to pull this off real quick and see if I can clean it out, and I may just run without this mesh so that any rocks that get in the future just fall out. Heads of screws coming through. This is wood here, and they have to be behind this mesh. I don't see how to pull the mesh off. I guess I'm going to start prying. I don't think I'm going to damage the speaker, just might damage the mesh, but I'm trying to get rid of that anyway, so we'll see what happens. Guess would be it's glued in. Well, I don't see any obvious rocks, but it definitely is dusty and dirty back there, and maybe this itself is what's rattling, so we're going to run without it. Gentlemen, at the time of this video, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so I thought I'd take a little bit of time to give a little unsolicited advice for those of you that are married out there or gonna be married one day. Set yourself some house rules. We've had a few since we first got married. They came on the advice of some good friends of ours, so we kind of picked some of theirs and created some of our own, and they have been established since the first day we were married. Maybe you are married and you don't have house rules. Go ahead and set yourself some now. Have a discussion with your wife and set some house rules. I'll give you two of them. First, as you just saw, there's a mandatory kiss every time you leave and every time you come home, regardless of how angry you are. There have been times when we've been upset with each other, but the house rule remains. The second, and probably my favorite, is that the word divorce is not spoken in this house. We've been married almost 23 years, and divorce is not a joke. It's not something that you threaten in the midst of an argument. Yes, there are arguments from time to time, but divorce is not a word that we use. We don't use it to joke and say, hey, if you don't make me a sandwich, I'm going to divorce you. It's not a joke. It's not funny. It's never fun or funny when it really happens. So it's not a joke to be used. It's not a threat to be used in an argument. The word is pretty much banned in our house unless we're talking about someone else going through a situation like that. So there's two quick house rules. I know you weren't looking for advice today. You were just looking to watch cars, but I figured I'd throw them in here since Valentine's Day is right around the corner. All right. Next, we're going to focus on this rat's nest. Like I said earlier, get those electronic modules out and pull out this fuse box that I've got mounted up here and just start figuring out what's really necessary to keep. Most of it isn't going to be, and cutting out the rest. Ran out of batteries, so I didn't get any video of me pulling the brake lines underneath the car, but they're out now. I went ahead and cut the lines. It's kind of dark in there, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but we got these guys here. This is the front, goes back to the ABS pump and then sends both two lines back forward for the front brakes. Since we're deleting the ABS, I'm just gonna put a wire T-fitting here to connect these two directly to the front brakes. And the back, I'll need to put a Y in the back where the pump was at for or a T for the left and right brakes coming off of this line in the back. Gotta get those fittings. The wire harness, engine wire harness, is completely out. I'll fill in that hole, probably that hole. Need to pull the remnant out here still and then fill that hole in. It's kind of loose, I just need to pull it out still. And left a few things. I'll have to connect in the windshield wiper motor. All the wires and the connectors are still on that. Not sure, I think I mentioned this earlier. May have to go to GMC Jimmy / S10 wiper motor. I've heard reports that this motor will not clear this wiper motor, and you need a smaller wiper motor. So we'll see. I also left all the wires for the things that I'm gonna still use up here. Those will get wired into either switches or into the new ECU. Got headlights. I left the wheel speed sensors. I may use those. They're not hurting anything to be there. I'll kind of zip time up out of the way. Probably the most likely place for me to use those wheel speed sensors is going to be in the back, possibly for some traction control. Going to wire everything in and make it kind of nice and pretty. That's going to be it for the day. I've got pretty much all the wiring on this side done, and just a little bit more to do over there. The fans are mostly done. I need to stick a relay in over there, but I've been out here for about 10 hours today and I'm beat, and my back's really starting to bother me. So even though I probably could spend another hour and finish this up, I'm calling it quits for the evening, and maybe get back to it tomorrow. We'll see when I find some time. Tomorrow's Super Bowl, so maybe not. Just got back from church, and Super Bowl is here in a couple of hours, but it's a beautiful day outside, so I've got the garage doors open. I'm gonna see if I can knock out just a little bit of the wiring this afternoon before some friends get here to watch the Super Bowl a little bit later. everything on the front end is wired up now. I got everything labeled, so when I go to hook it up later inside under what would have been the dash, I'll know exactly where everything goes, but everything's terminated here: the fans, the headlights, the turn signals, the parking lights. And that's just about it. Obviously I haven't done the start or anything, but I'll do that when the motor is in. So I'm gonna go enjoy some friends and a game. I hope you guys enjoy the game as well if you're watching. And thanks for watching this video. I'll catch you on the next one.